Welcome to the Rally Points podcast for the love and fun of tennis.
Francisco Montoya is joining us today, giving us a close look to his approach and philosophy on the game of tennis.
Welcome, buddy.
Thank you, sir.
What's going on? How you been?
Interesting
couple of years for you, huh?
Interesting couple of years.
Right. Yeah.
Doing the, just learning.
Yeah.
Always being working for someone, and now, trying to learn about doing
your own
things
academy
on your own
and
from the business side, from all this stuff that you had no idea, all
Yeah.
the stuff you had to do and take care of. But
it's good, right? You're enjoying it.
Like I said to Mike earlier, it's not work,
Yeah.
That's probably the reason why I
Yeah.
went this way, is because it started to feel like work, and it was time to try.
Change it up.
Yeah.
Gotta give you credit, man, because that's a big step to go and just start your own academy. But you do have the name. You're one of the guys that carry the flag for high performance in New England for the longest time, man. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. I'm glad
Yeah.
you did it.
Yeah.
Me too. God knows what happens, but
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But now you're
I
2
don't wanna
years in.
get older and not
Give it a go.
having found out if I had tried it or not. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great, man.
Yep.
How long? When did you get here? I think we close to the same time, but
I got here in 2002.
2002, right?
Yeah.
And did you coach Teco for a little bit, right?
Where?
Horia Teco, you coached him
Yeah,
for a
of
little bit,
course.
right?
Yeah.
My fellow Romanian.
Yeah. We did. He was at the Nick Bollettieri Academy since he was. I think he came the first time when he was like 14, and then he came full time when he was maybe 15 or 16.
Yeah.
So I used to be in charge of the traveling teams with the ITF, and I would take the kids for all the tournaments. So we went, all over the place, just getting
At
points.
Bollettieri or
At
the
Bollettieri,
yeah, because that's why you initially
I worked
Taught,
there for
right?
10 years. Yeah.
10 years,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah.
then you came up here to the MAC, right?
Correct.
That was it.
Yep.
You must have learned a lot from that whole experience.
Yeah, I started working there when I was 19. Pretty much work for free, for the first couple of years, just getting room and board and Adidas clothes and head rackets and and did whatever I was told to do. And a lot of the guys that were doing what I was doing, they went on to play college tennis, but I started getting cool gigs within being a hitting partner or being a young coach and stuff, and I knew they were like entrusting me cool players to work with and everything, and so I decided to stay and take the gamble on that, and eventually they processed all my work visas and all that stuff, and
that's a process.
It worked out well. I sometimes I wish I had played college tennis, because whenever up here, especially when we played teams and everything, I enjoyed it a lot. But
the experience.
It wasn't.
But
it wasn't
gain,
in the cards. Yeah.
You gain something else, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because there's a plus into starting coaching early and getting involved with that high end stuff. You learn quickly, just 4 years ahead.
It was just, but it was hard, right? It was just do what they ask you to do.
Yeah.
It was just do what they ask you to do, and a lot of guys at the academy were just, Nick and Gabriel Jaramillo and those guys were like, just crazy workers. So
they were, right?
Yeah.
That was a big operation, wasn't it? That was like.
I thought it was big, but now it's like 5 times bigger. So I don't know,
Really? What are the numbers now? Do you know? Like,
well, they have something like 1,200 student athletes, but with all the sports, right? Like they have baseball, golf, lacrosse, soccer, football, basketball, everything.
Yeah.
When I got there, we had 44 tennis courts and a pool and a gym, and that's it. So now it's a whole. And we thought it was big, and now it's just a monster, yeah. But it's cool. I mean, I was there last year, and I hadn't been for like over 10 years. And it's just like Disney World for
really?
For an athlete.
Right.
That's how it feels. It's like, whoa, you get, this is your gym.
The industry developed.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the right direction.
You need a red clay court, a green clay court, an indoor court, and it's like
That's perfect.
yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't it's not the arrow, it's the Indian, right? But
Yeah.
yeah,
No, that is true, but it's good to have that.
it's good to have
Because
access
that
to
now that will pull other clubs from other areas to now it's time to bring up your
yeah.
step up your game,
Correct.
right? It's got to be a challenge right here in the Northeast with the weather and the climate to compete or at least try to keep up with the southern states and like with the warm climate where people don't even know what indoor tennis is.
Yeah.
It's tougher here, isn't it? Don't you
It's-
find that a challenge?
I mean, it's a challenge.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that's what it is. It's a challenge.
Yeah.
You do. I think that as a program, we've tried to, just work the kids a lot towards what they're gonna need, tennis-wise, to compete
Yep.
against the South, against the kids that get to play more and
Yep.
stuff. And so obviously, like our kids need to serve better.
Mm-hmm.
They need to be able to be more
a good
aggressive
point, yeah.
on the return of serve. If they get a short ball, they better be
Yep.
very confident coming in and putting the volley away, because if they don't take advantage of those opportunities, I was the coach on the other side of that coin when I worked in Florida, and we would look at the list of the kid, and the kid was coming from like Michigan or something, and I would tell my kid like,
Yeah.
okay, this kid is an indoor player, you just go heavy to the backhand all day.
Yeah.
That's so it's like, okay, this is how they look at you. You have to be like,
Yeah.
we're not going heavy to the backhand all day. I'm gonna take that ball on the rise and
Just-
try to do something with it.
That's a good way to look at it.
So
Right.
so
Approach.
everything that we do is targeted towards
Yeah.
being that more aggressive player. What I've told myself since I moved here is like, you have countries like the Czech Republic that are constantly producing players.
Yep.
Countries like Sweden, which at their time they had incredible levels.
Yeah.
Germany, Poland, and they
Colder climate.
they live in situations like ours.
Yeah.
So they don't use it as an excuse.
Mm-hmm.
They they do what they can.
Point.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
And so we kind of keep saying that to ourselves and to the kids.
We got to
and
do
the
it. Yeah. No,
families,
that's awesome.
Now, if you're only going to play 2 hours a week, there's no
Yeah.
we can only do so much. But
Right,
if you're
yeah,
going to
yeah.
put the time,
Yeah.
we're not going to make it an excuse.
What do you find? Because you've been doing this for 30 years or so. What do you find the kids' motivation at that level? It's still high, right?
Yes, I mean, it's a different kid
These days,
because
right?
because there's so many distractions right now compared
Yep.
to
Yeah, yeah.
before. I mean, we never travel with iPhones and iPads and
Yeah.
and parents calling them 7 times a day and things like that.
Yeah.
We used to, when I travel, I would send a fax at the end of the week to my dad saying
Yeah.
what I had done. I have a feeling that he had called the club during the week and found out if I had won or lost,
Yeah.
because I don't think he could have kept himself from that.
Mm.
But that's what I did. I wrote a
Yeah.
paragraph about each match and sent the fax, and every couple of weeks,
Yeah.
call collect or something, right?
Yeah.
So it was very different. Now it's a different challenge, but the kids also, there's a lot of more talk about professionalism and engagement and everything, and they also have a lot more access to see, like
Exposure to.
training
Yep.
videos from top players, and they know, they can look at a Djokovic doing his warm up and stuff, and you're like, there it is, like that's how it's going right now. There's a lot more information that they have access to, and at the top of the game,
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
these guys are workaholics. I mean,
Right.
There's
Yes.
just,
I mean, you have to.
there's just
You have
no
to,
match.
right?
I mean, they get paid really well
Yeah.
for it, but every minute of their day is focused on what they're getting done. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely attack everything. I think I think you're spot on with the high performers kids. I find the challenge a little bit different at the entry and mid level because the distractions are so much bigger. But when they made a commitment to tennis, to the sport, to training, it's the same human that's gonna work hard if you put them to do it.
For the most part.
Yeah, for the most part.
They, again, even like from the information side, right? Like now they're like the UTRs and the WTNs and
Yeah, there's a lot.
And the parents, they take all these numbers and they're trying to do math every day, and it's like at the end of the day, you know how it is. You know, you show up and
put in the work,
and you hit a bucket of serves. Or,
yeah,
you know,
that's pretty much
right.
Yeah.
So, but it's still, you know, hard work is still the name of the game, and
there's no other way.
There's no getting around it.
There's no other way.
No, if you don't hit enough tennis balls, it's not going to happen.
But I think in New England in particular, and I have a fairly long runway with tennis in the Northeast. When I was a junior player, if you decided, well, I want to be something, you had to get out of New England. There was no options really. There wasn't what MAC was or what down on the South Shore, Goldman's Club. Those options weren't really available. You kind of had to get out of here. We had Tim Mayotte and we had Bud Schultz. We had guys that did pretty well out of New England, but Tim Mayotte went to Stanford. He didn't,
Correct.
You had to kind of pick up and go. And I used to use that when I would have parents say to me, I had a mom come to me once and say, I've decided that my daughter's going to be a professional tennis player. So I really want to dig in. I knew that the daughter didn't want anything to do with it, but, this is what mom decided.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. It's her mom's dreams after all.
Yeah.
But I said to the mom, I'll know you're serious when I drive by your house and I see the for sale sign on the front yard. Because if you're serious, you got to move. You got to sell your house and you got to go to Florida or you got to go to Texas or you got to go to a warmer climate.
Yeah.
Now there are options for kids in New England, largely because of your work, that you just didn't have.
How many people have you relocated?
Well, I've lost a handful of lessons, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Why are you guys here? That guy told me to sell my house.
I didn't lose a lesson because they moved. They were all set with me.
Yeah, I think that was one of the cool things and why we take our job so serious, right? Like, because I used to live up in Manchester, and I know, 5, 6, 7 families who sold their houses somewhere. They moved to Salem, or they moved to Beverly, or they moved,
to be next to the academy.
To be closer to the MAC,
you.
because the
Right.
MAC is just a little far.
Yeah.
So that was,
That's a thing.
that's also a lot of responsibility from our side. It's like, oh my God,
Yeah.
you sold your house. Okay, don't worry. I'll take care of that back end. No matter what. Yeah, that's it. That's pressure, but that's all right.
Right.
It's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
But-
a lot
but
of
it-
pressure
but
on
it- but-
kids too.
Huh?
By the way,
Yeah.
you know,
That's
like mom and dad sold the house. That's like
That's tricky, yeah. But this day and age, that parents can work from home easier and this and
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I mean, it's a little bit more
Right.
more attainable.
Do you think it's a little more pressure on the kids these days with making it? There's more competition and
There is more pressure, like daily. Like there's more pressure. Like
I'm not talking tennis. I'm talking general life, and
Oh,
then
life?
adding tennis on top of that. You know what I mean?
I mean, it all depends on
Yeah.
on the upbringing, right? I think that
I feel like school and everything, like it's obviously social media, everything else. So they're being bombarded with information
yes,
left and right. Like we're talking about high school kid, they have to do their SATs, they have to do all those things for college, and add on top of that the fact they have to train 2-3 hours a day
Yeah.
if you want.
it's hard.
Mm.
I think with my daughters that are now in college, and it's funny because I do, like, they're cool kids.
Yeah.
And they felt a lot of pressure in sports because I was a coach.
Yeah.
Not only in tennis but in sports, and I honestly never try to coach them on anything
Yeah.
unless they ask me for it. which they never did. But, yeah.
It's
But-
coming, buddy.
Yeah.
It's
But
coming.
they, but they felt pressure, and I was like,
Yeah.
it's fine, you know, like
Yeah.
yeah. So, but it's hard. I remember when we started the whole college process, and
Yeah.
every school they talked about, oh, that school only has a 3% acceptance rate. Or, no, that's not a good school. It's like 97% acceptance rate. I'm like, I'm sure there's plenty of good people there too, you know, and you know,
Yeah.
but they felt pressure, and I think that's. I mean, there's some hard years, of course, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
But they learn how to deal. It's a different generation. They know how to deal with. But they're pretty connected, man, on everything. They're pretty
Well,
connected.
they know so much, yeah.
Yeah. But it's a lot more incoming their way too. So they kind of have their brains have to get used to it. I mean, you
Yes.
have two daughters in that same
Yeah.
range.
How old are your daughters?
I have my oldest will be 21 in February, and my
Okay.
younger daughter's 18. So
Yeah.
junior
my-
in college and a senior in high school.
Wow.
So
So my twins are 20, and they're sophomores in college. And the little one is, 14 going on 29.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
do they don't go to the same school, do they, or they do?
No, one goes to Endicott,
Yeah.
and one goes to University of Tampa. So
Wow, different. That's
they're
yeah, that's-
identical twins, and one wanted to be right next to home and be able to go check on her dogs and everything, and the other one wanted to be by the beach. That's good.
yeah.
Can't blame
There
her.
you go.
Can't blame her.
Yeah.
Where's yours in college?
She goes to the University of Rhode Island,
Oh, nice.
so not too far.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we're in the middle of
Of finding
enrollment hell right now. Yeah, trying to figure out whether waiting to hear on eggshells.
that is.
Yeah. But again,
there's
it
plenty
does
of-
work out. It does work out, but
Yes,
they
totally.
don't, they don't really know that right off the bat,
Right. Yeah.
Totally.
My youngest
Right.
has a place. She wants to go to URI where her sister's at too. I mean,
Yeah.
she's got accepted into other places already, but she wants this.
She
For
wants
some
to,
reason now this is like, so now that she wants it, it's like that's the plan that has to work. But meanwhile, it's like,
Yeah.
wherever you end up, and she'll end up, even if she doesn't get in URI, she'll end up somewhere else and she'll end up loving it and it'll all work out. But it's a hard thing to explain to
That's
an 18-year-old kid. They just,
It's very similar with tennis. Like these kids, like there's so many good opportunities, so many good colleges to go play for and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're talking to the parent when the kid is like a sophomore. It's like, no, we want him to go to Tufts. And I'm like, oh, but there's like 25 Tufts, like,
Yeah.
right.
right?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like, don't, like, okay, I hope so, but
If not, it's okay.
Go take a look at the other ones too,
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of similarities in levels, in academics, in the crowd,
Yeah.
everything. So,
Yeah, people can get set on a certain plan,
and then get disappointed.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, on the segue into this, like, what's I mean, everybody's different, but parents' challenge, right? That type of pressure we just talked about right now,
Yeah.
right? That, and then what they want versus what the kids want. Do you try to always go to the kids' soul, to their source, to see what they really want and what the parents telling you, or you try, like, how is that? I mean, for that high performance.
A lot of it, but I also deal with different cultures. So we have
Yes.
a big, like Chinese Asian community
Yep.
that works with us, and the parents of these kids are much more involved in that process until very late in the game.
Yep.
With all of that, we deal with especially being near 495 and everything. We have a lot of the Indian community
Yep.
too. The academics are taken in a certain way,
Yeah.
and then obviously all the
Yeah.
you know.
College is a big goal for
So
them, right? Being
it kind of
college.
depends
Yeah.
on who, right?
Yeah.
But honestly, to some of these very academic families, like you might, if you go to an Ivy League school and everything through your tennis and through your academic, it's like, in its success as it would have been to play in the qualifying of the U.S. Open
Mhm.
kind of thing. It's like
Yeah, that's their peak. That's what they want. They want to just get to
they
college.
want to do
Yep.
all that stuff so that they put the kid in a
College,
certain
yep.
situation, and then the kid goes from there. Yeah.
are lots of the kids, I mean, because we deal with the same, not to the same level, but sometimes parents' desires and kids' goals are not the same. I'm not saying that one is better than the other,
Yeah.
but that's a tough one to bring together, isn't it?
It's mostly, initially, it's mostly
Parents.
driven. And then at some point, it becomes a little bit the opposite, which is the kid might be the one with the, like with goal, with
Yeah.
motivations that are higher, probably that he or she has worked for, right? So they have these aspirations, but they didn't do enough on the early years to hit the benchmarks for those aspirations. It's like, sorry, buddy, but
Isn't that important, the early years in
of
tennis?
course,
I think it's more of a...
That's a tough pill to swallow too. If at some point you feel like you've hit that you're motivated enough and you're ready to go out there and work, but you're just it took you too long maybe to figure that out, or you didn't have the opportunity, or whatever it is, and you're just getting a late start at it. I mean, that's
We talked about before that it's it's just a thought that in tennis, and I don't know much about other sports, but if you haven't started playing and learning, I said this before too, but I would say 18, but maybe let's say 16, you're not going to be able to get to a 5 or 5.5 level.
it's
Very hard. Very
It'd be
difficult.
very hard if you started 16, 18. Forget about it if you started 25. You know what I mean? I don't...
Those are very rare cases. Right?
If they happen, right?
Yeah.
So it's on the same train of thought. If you haven't developed some skills between your 6 and 10, you have to put some extra work there from 10 to 14 if you want to make up that time, because your body was different, your brain was absorbing different information, and those are tough things to
catch up on.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And tennis is one of those such precise sports that it's not that easy. I don't know about football, but I have a feeling that if you're physical enough, you can pick it up at 16. You have somebody, hey, you come play football. And you might be doing all right in that sport. Not in tennis. Nobody's going to pick you up when you're 16. Like, you're going to play pro in 4 years.
Yeah,
Let's
you
train
look,
you.
look like a good athlete. I'll show you how to hit a backhand. Let's be all set. That's not going to happen.
Right?
It's not going to happen.
No, it's obviously an early initiation sport, right? Like you have to start early.
Yeah.
You don't have to specialize early.
No. But just start.
But you have to start, and you have to be somewhere consistent. So in these communities, parents want the kids to be well balanced, right?
Yep.
So they don't have a problem if the kid is playing soccer in the fall and then they play more tennis in the winter time in the summer and stuff like that. My conversation with those parents, if the kid is above 13, I'm like, okay, if you do that, you're saying you don't want to play college tennis.
Correct.
Right? Like, that's what you're telling
That's
me.
when you got to
totally
make the commitment, yeah.
But if it's earlier than that, it's like, okay, you want to play soccer. Soccer is going to be, and you're 10 or you're 11, it's probably going to be good for your tennis.
Yes.
As long as we still play tennis every week, once or twice. Just don't come back in 3 months because...
I'm ready.
Yes. That's a hard one, right?
Yeah.
But obviously, like, you deal with injuries all the time.
Yes.
So if a kid gets injured, he can't play for 3 months, he comes back and he picks it up again. So it's like also, nothing's an excuse, right? Like,
Yeah.
Nothing's an excuse. But definitely, if a kid is playing basketball in the winter time and he's 11 and he's in, you see some little boys that are playing basketball and they're like animals on that court, running down this and that.
Yeah.
That's obviously helping their tennis. That's,
Of course.
It's obviously helping. If that kid also shows up, on Thursdays and on Saturdays and takes a private lesson and stuff to just maintain the strokes,
Yeah. You're good.
even better.
Yeah.
But they have to be able to do that. They can't disappear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
easy
there's some for your body too, even developing. It's good to get out there and
it's the fine motor
play.
skills that you need in tennis.
Yeah.
That you cannot, or you can achieve way harder the older you get.
And you think that should disappear at what age? Where you just say all right, now it's time. If you really want to do this, you need to now put everything else down and.
Yeah. if you want to play college tennis, probably at about 12, you have to say tennis is my main sport.
Yeah.
You know, it's my main sport.
Yeah.
I ski. Okay, ski, right?
Yeah.
You know, I do track. Okay, do track, but tennis is your main sport.
Yeah.
So there might be a little season where you don't compete as much, but it doesn't mean you're not training and stuff. And for the pros, I hate to say it, but most likely earlier.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the only variable would be like if it's a boy or a girl that is going to be really tall.
Yes.
So, you know, they're not going to show up at 18 or 19. They're going to have to grow into
Shelton
their
is
bodies.
one of them. He started 13. Well, but he was playing until then. He just started to go focus on the 13 a little bit more, right?
Yeah, but like he won 14 and under hardcore nationals.
Oh, okay. There you go. So that's not
At 14,
Yeah,
being
yeah.
like one of the oldest ones in the draw, but he won the 14 under nationals. That's like,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, so he was focused on it, yeah.
So he was playing other sports, but and obviously because of the mom and the dad being in the tennis business, tennis was probably his main thing. He was goofy.
What do you think? What's your call? Is he kind of maxing out? Is he going to hit top 10?
Not at all, yeah.
Yeah?
He's going to
Keep going?
forward, yeah.
Keep evolving?
Yeah, he's good.
Definitely good. Definitely athletic. I'm just not sure. Is he technically ready for the top 5?
Well, top 5 is
Yeah.
it's a big statement.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think
And
definitely
hard to pick.
Huh?
It's hard to pick who's going to be top 5. You can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It's that's such an elite.
But
Yeah,
I think
crowd.
he's a top 10 guy.
Yeah.
I think
I think
he almost hit top
he's
10.
a solid top 10 guy
Yep.
if he gets in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be interesting to see what he does this year, like when he goes to the clay, if he can win some matches.
He went. He played a lot last year. He
Yeah.
went on clay. He got himself
he
in
did.
the
He committed to it, and he
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
Which was
surprised.
awesome.
Yeah, good for him.
Yeah.
a lot of clay tournaments. Yeah, that was good. I think that's a smart decision.
And maybe
Yeah.
dad's coaching influence a little bit. Like, go and
Yeah.
do this. You got to learn to do it.
Yeah.
You gotta play on clay.
Yeah.
You gotta play on clay,
Yeah.
right? You grew up on clay.
On red clay, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it helps a lot, right? It helps a lot, and you know, there's a big portion of the tour that is on clay, and
Yeah.
if you're just not picking up any points there, like that's
That's
a
the thing,
lot
you-
of pressure, you know.
You don't have to be the best, but you gotta be competitive. on
Somewhere,
every-
right?
Somewhere there.
Yeah.
Yeah. You cannot be like, oh, I'm not even playing the clay. Because back, what was it back in the day? I know I'm looking at you.
Yeah.
fellas.
No, that was the right way to look. That's where exactly where you should be.
Playboard specialist right here. Yeah.
No, but like, did you have players that they were skipping completely?
Oh,
like-
totally.
right? But it can't happen anymore.
No.
I mean, Kyrgios, I guess he kept but the clay,
Yeah,
but that can't happen any
totally.
longer, right?
Totally. I mean, I think, I don't know if it was, I was at the French Open in maybe 2001 or 2002, and like in one of the backcourts, Roddick was playing. This is when they didn't even put him on the stadium, and he's just playing some Spanish dude or somebody that was just, you know, grinding him out, and he's just like, I hate this fucking clay.
Yeah.
I'm like, you just made the guy run more.
Yeah.
You know, he's never gonna stop running now that you
yeah,
just told him.
yeah.
Yeah.
You gave me the info.
You know, so, but I think now the USTA has put a lot more emphasis on on making sure there are more clay court tournaments, or making sure that they play on clay more throughout the year.
What do you see that? Do you have much interaction with that? With the USTA part of things? Do you see are they putting a lot of
So
efforts and money into infrastructure, or?
I mean, it's hard to say money, right? So I've been a part of what they call I'm a faculty coach for them. So they have their national coaches. They have like 15 national coaches.
Yep.
And then I think there's like another 15 of us that kind of work for them we're independent contractors and work for them on stuff. One of the things that we do is we do these camps, you know, 2-3 day camps with like 11 to 13-year-old kids.
Okay.
They started back in 2008.
That's a good,
and
just to kind of pick.
So it's cool because literally, you know, you go in New England, they'll do a couple camps a year, and they bring the best they bring 12 really good boys and 12 really good girls, and we just train them for 2-3 days and kind of take a look at them, give them a little bit of homework, start taking a look at them. And the one of the very few things that are cool about getting old, is that in those camps we've had every single American player that is now on tour.
That's awesome.
Was an 11 or a 12-year-old, because we started in 2008,
Yeah.
And so, Tiafo and Fritz and all those guys, they're from 98.
That generation was a strong
Right.
one. There's 5 of them, right?
And Opelka is 97.
Yeah.
And they were all little kids, but it was more than what you were training them. It was more about involving them,
Yes.
having them work like as a team for the weekend,
Yeah.
putting them in a super competitive situation, but not for points or rankings or ratings or anything.
Yeah.
It was education of the parents, giving the parents little tips and stuff. And the USTA has done a lot of work on that. The challenge they have is that, every so many years there's a whole new board of directors that takes on the USTA.
The politics of it, yeah.
So everything has to adjust. So even though, you might have an initial plan, in 2-3 years, they might
get
change
mixed.
it for you.
Right.
And in
So
fact,
what do you do
it's a
about
little
that?
bit of what's going on right now. U.S. tennis is doing really, really well.
Yeah.
And there is a brand new board of directors. So there's a lot of, drama and stuff about them
Right.
wanting
Was
to
that
do
Jose
things different.
Higueras' letter there like last year? There
Yes,
was
exactly.
some-
All of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And it's a little bit uncertain of what, because obviously it's good people and it's very knowledgeable people and everything, but one big thing is just sticking to the plan, right? Like setting up the plan and then grinding through it.
Yes, this is not a 2-year plan. It's a 10-year plan.
Correct.
It's a 15-year plan.
Correct.
Yeah.
And at that time, in 2008, when we started going to those meetings and stuff, the goal was simply to get as many American players in the top 100 men's and women's as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Because at that time, it was getting to a point where the guys that were there, the Blakes and the Roddicks and all those guys, they knew that they were within a year or two of being out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, a couple of years later, like it was only like Isner, Query, and Steve Johnson.
Stevie Johnson, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like that was it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's a point in over the course of the last 15 years where there was only 3 or 4 guys in the top 100.
I remember it was a
This
bit
is a
of
big
gray period there.
this is a big country.
Yeah.
But the process had already started from underneath. But
Yes.
it was going to take time. And the women's, there were only like the Williams.
Yeah.
And then when the Davenports and Capriatis and those guys retired, the next one was like Jill Krabas, which is a former New England girl.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, you trained there, right? For a little bit?
In Rhode Island.
Yeah.
Club there. She took from a pro that I worked with. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So it was like depleted, and then the women picked up a little bit faster.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, once like 6-7 years ago, it was like all 4
right,
American
That's right.
in the semifinals of the U.S. Open. That was
Yeah.
big.
Right. Yeah.
That
When
was
Sloane
big.
Stevens won it,
Sloan and Madison
and even Coco
Coco
Wonderway
and
and
who was the fourth
right.
one?
who was the 4th one? Come on, we gotta know that.
I don't know when.
Yeah.
But there were 4.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So now in the women's is Coco Pegula, Navarro, and I think 10th or 11 is Danielle Collins.
Yeah.
So that's.
I'm glad she's playing again this year. That's
Is
good.
she
Yeah,
gonna
she
play?
decided to play
Yeah.
again. Yeah.
Good for
And I
her.
think there's like 16 girls in the top 100.
The 16, that's good. Yeah, Navarro's she's athletic, man.
She's cool, huh?
I'm a fan of her game, and she'll go out there. She'll get after the shot. She's got a good attitude too.
Yeah.
She does. She's cool.
Really
Cucumber.
just-
Yeah. Yeah. She's legit.
Yeah.
Athletic, and that was where did she had
And she played college tennis.
Yeah.
She played for UVA, and I
Yeah.
think she played all 4 years.
Did she?
Yeah, and
Where'd she
And-
play?
UVA. And for a girl that was that good, because she was that good, she played at least 2 years. But for a girl that was that good, it's amazing how good a teammate she was. Because the coaches and the other players, they loved her.
Really, there you go.
You know,
Yeah.
so instead of being a superstar or I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah.
here
Yeah.
for another year and then go pro, no, she was
Yeah.
all in. And
Yeah.
it's cool.
That's nice to hear.
Yeah.
To see that, because
Yeah.
You can see it in her personality, the way she carries herself on the court. You can picture that, but it's nice
Yeah.
to hear that that's
Yeah.
exactly how it was.
Amazing, yeah.
So back to the USTA, because that's very interesting. So then the process started, and is that now going to be continued with?
That's all the question marks that there are
Yeah.
out there.
Right.
How often a year do you do this, and do you do it just in your region, or?
Oh, I think I do maybe 6-7 camps a year.
That's good.
Yeah, couple in Orlando.
Okay, so you change
I try
regions.
to do the 1 or 2 in New England.
The kids are handpicked for that
Yeah,
from
the USTA picks them. If you have a kid that is in that age bracket and he's way better than his ranking because maybe he's a little bit of a late bloomer, you recommend them.
Okay,
And
so there you go.
and sometimes they get invited if
Yeah.
But
That's great.
most of the time it's through the results and stuff.
so that's
We have occasionally like I remember Woody Freeman,
Oh, sure. Yep.
like his daughter, Paige Freeman. We invited her because she was like that, like
yeah.
not as good ranking wise, but she just had a one-handed backhand and she was a lefty, and she was 11, so she wasn't gonna beat anybody with that
That's-
one-handed backhand
Yeah.
at that point. And 7 years after that, she was the best one of that generation. And she played good ball for Notre Dame and stuff. So sometimes a kid gets invited like that.
Yeah.
Most of the times they get handpicked from the
You
results.
have a couple of wild cards. Yeah.
Yeah. I did one in Las Vegas, one in Colorado. It's interesting out there because it's altitude.
Yes. Yeah, that's an interesting point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Same thing, different player there. You gotta.
yes, but it's tough. I mean, the ball is light. The ball flies.
Flies,
Right? Yeah. But it's cool. I mean, it's cool. And
Yeah.
so that process started. I think the challenge then became like, yes, they did bring a number. They did help. They didn't bring them, but they helped a lot of kids get better.
Yeah.
And then when all these guys get into like the top 250 like that, you're not yet making money.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
Right?
one thing with
That-
tennis,
so-
man.
It's a real problem with the
So
tour.
then the USTA had to pull to get a little bit more funding to help that boy that is 19 or 20 that is really good, that is 200 in the world, to make sure that he can get a little
Yeah.
bit better coaching, a little bit better fitness. There's a
Yeah,
lot of
access to different things.
they have
yeah.
a lot of analytics now.
Yes.
Right.
If you're an American player and you're like in the top 300 and I'm playing Rares from Romania, you call and they
Boom,
send
boom,
you,
boom.
they say Rares only goes wide on the
Yeah.
30 O's and
Yeah.
and
They have all of that.
yeah.
It's
And he-
amazing how that
That's
changes
amazing.
the game.
If you serve to his forehand and all the game points, he's only going to slice it, so
Yeah.
feel free to go there all day. And it's like they have a lot of more tools for them.
We continue talking about
money
that.
talks,
It's-
like
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Technology is gonna advance the game. To what point I don't know, but how much information can you give a kid?
Yeah.
Until they have to figure it out on their own. But it's definitely changing.
It's-
You see it in those tournaments. You
It-
see it when they talk now. And
Dude, it's funny because I was at a dinner at one of those camps. I think it was last year. No, it was last year. When was it that Tommy Paul got to like semis of Australia last year?
last year, yeah,
Right?
early January, yeah.
So I was at a camp that weekend and we were having dinner, and in front of me is this guy Dave Ramos, who is the head of the analytics
Yeah.
for USTA and the one that is in charge of all that stuff. And then in front of him was Tom Gullickson, who's
Yeah.
a former Davis Cup captain. So the guy Ramos asked Gully, he said, okay, Gully, if you were going to coach Tommy Paul today, what would you tell him to play Djokovic the next day? And Gully literally said, like, I would tell him, like, not to get burned on the wide serve on the due side. I would tell him to make sure if he's coming to the net to go on the guy's forehand and cover. He said 3 things like that, like tun tun tun. And the other guy pulled out his phone and showed him the email of the things that they had sent to Tommy Paul that day, or based on the analytics, and they were the same 3.
Oh wow!
There you go.
Now that's
So
that's
it's like
coaching right there. Yeah.
You have experience, and
Yeah.
you know. But the good thing is that, you know, hopefully for us young coaches, we can learn.
Yes.
We don't have to wait until we're 75. We can learn it
Yeah.
through paying attention to the stats. But it was literally the same 3 things, and I was like, "Ooh, shit," you know.
That is an interesting
yeah,
one.
it was cool.
Man. Yeah, because this changes, and you can see it. Like you can see all this changes of even the lower levels now, and probably in 5 years, you have all the USTA kids, top 15, getting that information.
Yeah, obviously.
It's coming.
Yeah.
For sure. I wonder what programs. I haven't looked into it much because we talk about this, but I will. Because Italy put a massive program in motion. Same thing 10, 15 years ago.
Yes.
They even created their own tennis channel and all of that. And look at the results now. But they have the Italians, man. They have what do they have in
It's
top?
crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
they did a little bit of like what Spain did for a while.
Yes.
Like, you know, in Spain, you used to be able to play a future tournament every single week of the year. And then
Yep.
they had some challengers, and they had
Yep.
some bigger tournaments.
Bunch. Yeah.
But every single week of the year, you could play in Spain. So the rule over there was like, dude, you never have to leave Spain until you're like top 300.
Right.
You literally
Yeah,
don't
and then
have
you
to
go,
learn
you
English.
You can make the main draw to French Open. Like, who's this guy?
Yeah, exactly. Right? So these guys would take a train, play,
Yeah.
you know, and the Italians did it with the Pro Tour, but they also did it with the junior
Yes.
side,
Right.
and even with the, you know, the ETA circuit and everything. So like they just pounded the amount of tournament
Definitely
play.
got heavy into it. And
Obviously,
now
they have a lot of good coaches there, and
Yep.
and the weather helps, and
Right.
um,
And the geographic.
But they didn't for the longest time.
correct.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
they can just drive.
Right.
Because that's the thing. If I can, you know, if I can drive on Friday, sign up for, you know, a 15,000 tournament, stay there, play Saturday, win, play Sunday, lose, and then I drive home, and I'm practicing at home on Monday. It's good for me.
it's a
Right.
good, yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
to a lot of, like when I grew up in Colombia, we had 3 tournaments a year of that caliber. So you had to go abroad. You had
Right.
to, like you say, you had to move out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you played, and then you
Yeah.
lost, and then you were there for a week. So if you were a hard worker, you would work. If not, you wouldn't. You know.
Yeah.
But Italy definitely.
Yeah, because they didn't have, other than Gaudenti, who's now the chairman of the ATP,
Yeah.
and Sanguinetti, right? And they didn't have much. Am I missing?
I mean, there was always a couple guys, but
Yeah.
now it's just like.
Now it's just,
But didn't they just won Davis Cup and Fed Cup? Right?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right there.
Tells you a lot.
Right?
There. Yeah.
Yeah, Jasmine, man. She's a
Yeah.
Spitfire, huh?
She's fun to watch, huh?
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. She gets after it.
Jumps
She's
into
fun
that
to
shot.
watch.
and
Oh yeah.
She's got a good attitude, too.
Yeah, and I
Just
hear
a-
that guy Sinner's going to be pretty good one day.
Yeah.
He just keeps, he's got to train a little bit. He'll be all right.
I know, right?
Yeah, that's
Never seen anybody club a ball like that.
so
Never
early.
seen it. Yeah.
That's the game these days, huh?
Yeah.
These guys, if they set their feet, they just
Yeah.
boom.
Get after it.
Yeah.
Is that, do you go, at what point do you decide to change a technique or work with what you have, like with your athletes? Like, do you go heavy into a change, or do you work with what they developed at that point?
I'll go heavy to a change if it's wrong.
Yeah. If it doesn't give you results.
If it's a bad grip,
Yeah.
you know, if a grip is too far on the full western side.
Yeah.
You know, if they don't have the continental grip skills at the net,
Do you go into motion quite?
you have to
aggressively?
slow it
Yeah.
down and change
Yeah.
it. And yeah,
So you do go technical quite a bit.
if you have to,
Yeah.
right? I think the system now with the softer balls on the early ages, you know, not the system, those balls don't teach grips, but at least if you have the right grip, not a lot of balls are bouncing above your head,
Yeah.
so it's harder for that grip to move into a western grip.
Yes.
So we're not having as many Western grips as before.
That's an interesting point.
Yeah.
But
It's a very good point,
but if you don't teach the grip, the kid doesn't learn the grip. So
Correct.
like
Yep.
you know, it's not the ball that is going to teach it to them, but at least you're not having, you know, like
Yeah.
a number of years ago, if you watch a lot of 14 and under kids, you saw a lot more.
A lot more.
Yeah.
A lot
Yeah.
more.
Right.
Yeah, definitely a lot more than. I don't think I've seen
No,
that. Full
but that's funny.
Westerns
You
in-
think it's from playing when you're younger and having the ball get up
Yeah.
too high and not having like all the different.
You just have to
Very
make
well.
up for it, right?
Yeah.
turn it.
But I mean, my sister was a very good player as a little kid, and you know, all they did was moonball.
Yeah. Yeah.
They moonball for 3 years straight. I mean, it's you know, I think they stopped moonballing when they were like 14. Otherwise, the ball was just really high, and
Yeah.
I mean, on the clay too, but it was moonballing.
Yeah, and you have to. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny with that. You don't see it as much anymore, but when people's grip can be off a little bit and you can make adjustments, when you'd see kids that would come in and they'd be way underneath like that, trying to make any type of move out of that is like they're even just a little bit. There's like it's like they can't even play anymore. It's a tough change to make when it's tough to hit that way, but then like for them, like trying to roll out of that to get to more like a semi is like,
It's tough.
that's a really hard. It's a really hard. I
It's
think
tough,
anyone that
right?
I ever taught that ever had it, after a little bit, I'm like, you know what? Let's roll with this. It's like, what else can we do?
Well, it's a conversation, right? It's like, listen,
Yep.
okay, 3 weeks, don't sign up for a tournament.
Yep.
Let's schedule you into some lessons. And the first week, like you say, you're going to hit the ceiling. You know?
Yeah,
You're
literally.
gonna
Let's
hit,
make it about
you're
that.
gonna hit the
Yeah,
ceiling
over the curtain,
and
and
we
they're like, "What?"
and we're gonna have to deal with it.
Yeah.
But I've also seen it where a kid commits to that, and a couple of years later, they're like, "Pa, pa,"
Yeah.
and you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you see?" And like,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, I know," but
Yeah.
go try it, right?
You do have to do.
I mean,
that.
you have a one-handed backhand. Did you always have a one-handed
Nope.
backhand? No.
No. Yeah. Just 14, I think.
Yeah.
When it started, just you.
My 11-year-old pictures have a two-handed backhand. I think I was like almost 13 when I changed.
When you changed, right? Somewhere there. Mike, you have a 2 or 1?
I had a 2 till I was 12.
Yeah.
So somewhere, yeah. So you're still 2.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, I believe so. Yes.
We'll have to
Yeah.
check the
But that's-
videotape.
Those are the days you could survive with one. You know. Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough right now. Yeah. Do you see a lot of that in the juniors?
You know, honestly, I thought I was gonna see more of them develop through the softer balls because the ball wasn't bouncing as
Yeah.
high, but it hasn't.
No, right?
Interesting.
Right? I
Yeah.
thought more kids would have enjoyed
Right.
hitting the one-handed and then sticking to it.
Yep.
But no, not really.
It's a hard shot.
Because
to hit.
it's harder to learn
Yeah.
if the ball is
It's a
bouncing
very
low.
hard shot, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And even kids
two
get
you're
that. You see
talking
them all.
Huh?
The two-hander you're talking about, if the ball's lower,
The one-hander is an easier
is an easier shot.
to learn.
Yeah.
It's
With the
still-
softer
maybe
ball,
the two-hander is still easier.
Mm.
But I feel like you find sometimes that a kid
Oh yeah.
is
Definitely.
is a more natural one-handed
Yes.
player.
Sure.
Of course.
You can tell, right? Like
Right.
they have a two-handed and they hit
Yeah.
it kind of funny, and you say, okay, just hit a one hand, and they
Yeah.
rip it,
Weird.
and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, you
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
we've been barking at the wrong tree here. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that doesn't mean they're gonna change it. I mean,
tough
it's
one,
hard,
yeah.
right?
Well,
Yeah,
even with
very
that, it
hard.
just takes so much
Very
work.
hard.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Complete rewiring.
Yeah. But there are
Of
definitely
your
just
instincts
some body types or
Yeah.
natural, just like more natural, or you can see them all tied up with their
Yes.
two-hander, and then they do it more natural. But
Yeah, you have to like change completely.
But even
Those
like
sequence.
now, if you have a one-handed, even if your one-handed is very good, like you have to wait on a backhand grip to return the first serve because that thing is coming
Yeah.
$1.15, $1.20, which makes it really hard to change for the forehand.
That's the Wawrinka.
And
That's- yeah.
so many guys end up just having to slice it.
Slice
there.
it, yeah.
Or what they do now, but we don't have that luxury. They return from like 29 feet back and they
Yeah, you
buy a
can.
little
Yeah,
time.
that's also a thing now. 'Cause
Yeah.
this
That's definitely a thing. Huh?
Yeah.
the powerful number to hit a ball that that hard from 20 feet behind the baseline.
Yeah.
And then I always say this, like when we played, when Medvedev won the U.S. Open 4 years ago, he came and he played here for the Laver Cup, and you can see him
That's right.
return by the
By the-
referee umpire, yeah,
Yeah.
and then on top of the baseline, right after, and then I hear the stat that he covers those 20 feet in 4 steps. Like, that's how quick.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
5 feet a step. That's how long he is. So in 4 steps, by the time his ball travels over, he's on top of that baseline.
Right.
That's big. If you have that, I mean, why wouldn't you play back there?
But this year in Madrid, it was the first time that I ever saw a guy practicing his returns from all the way back there.
Oh, really?
That was that German guy, like Altheimer or
Yeah, all the time. Yeah,
Yeah.
One-y.
Yeah.
You got a one-y,
yeah,
right?
yeah, he has a one-handed.
Yeah.
And literally he was
Altmaier, yeah.
The hitting partner or the coach was serving from the service line and he's serving bullets, but the guy was all the way back there. Because I remember they asked Rafa one time, like, "Were you returning from so far back? How do you work on that?" He said, "I never work on that.
Yeah.
I just figure out that I can't return the guy serve from the baseline. I just go back there and make it." But it was the first time that I saw a guy like
Just practicing.
practicing it. I was like, and he literally was way back there and ripping it. You know, like
That guy's a good. I think he was a college player too.
I think so too.
Yeah, and then he's
More and more, huh?
Yeah, more and more. Well, because it goes a little bit longer,
Yeah.
right? The fitter, so you can extend your career a little bit more, I think.
Yeah, more and more.
And then
But the level's so high.
it's so high. Yeah,
The
it's
college level is so high right now.
oh yeah. These guys are good, man.
Yeah.
Carl is coming this week. We'll talk about that.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's coming on Friday.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, right now, like top 5 in NCAA can play qualies and be okay in qualies at any big tournament,
Totally.
right?
Yeah. I mean, we have a boy that grew up at the MAC, Daniel Milavsky, that plays for Harvard. He's going to play his last season this year, and he just won a future.
There you go. Yeah.
You know, I mean, he had to come from qualies, and he won the tournament. It's like, that's...
It's big, man.
And he's been on an Ivy League school. I mean, it's not like... Yeah. I mean, these guys they're sick.
They can.
Yeah, they're sick. It's just they're so
Yeah.
big and so athletic and so good.
That's been the change in the game the last 15 years.
Yeah.
Guys are just bigger and more athletic. Not just bigger. They're athletes.
Correct.
The athleticism has completely changed the game.
Yeah, what a 6'4" can do now.
Yeah.
It's different what a 6'4" can do 20, 25 years ago. Right?
I think tennis has found a way to attract athletes of that size. Because there were always guys who were 6'4" and pretty athletic, but they just weren't playing tennis. But now these guys are they're just good. They're physical
I think that's one of the challenges that the U.S. has.
Yeah.
The better athletes are taking on other sports.
Doing other stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And in a country where you have Sinner and Paulini and this and that, the athletic girl in second grade, the parent is like, "Hey, we need to play some tennis. Look at her; she's on TV." You know?
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's exposure. I think it's exposure, like TV exposure. I think the money in those sports in America, I think it's so massively weighted towards football, baseball, basketball, hockey.
Yeah.
Right. And obviously because of that, those would be the top 4 in the States, right?
Yeah.
I think because of that, the 95% of the TV time is within those sports.
Yeah.
So that's the exposure of the kids. That's what they see. It's
Kids like being on a team too, though.
Right, I was gonna
That's
say
say,
Like part of
I was
that
gonna say
is
that for
it's
sure.
like,
but
it's tough for tennis to compete with that because it's like
you
such
don't
a
have that.
Yeah.
solo
Yeah. Well,
Tennis
thing.
is hard, man.
It is so
and
hard,
it takes
right?
it takes a little bit before you have a breakthrough before you can even really get out there and play. You play in soccer, like your first practice. You've never been on a soccer field. Your first practice, you're going to practice. You're at least playing.
Yeah.
On a tennis court, even as a kid, you're not necessarily. Now it's a little different, but like it can take a little bit before you really
Still
feel like,
takes a little bit,
even if they shrink the net, you're using special balls, you even still get, you're like, this, I'm not really playing yet.
I remember
you know?
when my kids were little and we signed them up for flag football, and you had girls that would come and they had never played before, but they were fast.
Yeah.
Right.
And immediately in that first game, they were already like scoring touchdowns and
Right.
stuff.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and getting high fives,
Yes.
and everybody's
Yeah,
excited,
yeah.
and of course
This
they want to
game is
go back
awesome.
the next
Yeah,
day.
yeah.
You know.
No,
They
come
wanna
to
go-
tennis and learn how to hit a forehand over
Yeah,
the next 3
exactly.
years.
Good luck.
Like, dude.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. But they teach
You
you
know?
nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that's one of the, challenges we have with
Yes.
pickleball.
Yeah, I was just
Oh,
going to
yeah.
say
Is
pickleball. That was
You
good.
you
Thought that
you're-
was a
you're-
swear word.
You're playing you're playing a pickleball match that first day, and it's like what?
Right.
Right.
I know.
Yeah.
And
And you're
tennis
good.
is not.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. And you don't. And on that one, you don't even have to be athletic. You know, you're keeping score. You're playing.
Actually, the
right?
more hip surgeries, the better.
Right.
You're more stable there. Yeah. What do you think about that? What do you think? I've been thinking about this quite a bit, and I think it's a good thing. But what do you think about it?
About what? Pickle?
Pickleball, and then this insurgent into the tennis world, and
I don't hate it.
yeah,
You know,
Yeah.
I like the. I like driving by like the public courts in my town at 8:00 at night on Thursday, and there's like 20 guys out there, and they have a cooler, and they're playing.
Yep.
And they have systems in which they rotate quick so that
Yep.
they don't have to play a whole
Yep.
3-set match.
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
play a game to 11, they switch, they sit down, they play somebody else. I think that we have a lot of that stuff that we can implement to make some of the stuff that we do more fun. But as long as it's not an NCAA sport or anything like that,
yeah.
For what I do, it's hard to really
No, yeah, it's
fall
not
in love with it because
Yeah.
what's it gonna do?
Right.
Yeah.
Uh,
You work at the highest level of athleticism, which is not required.
yeah.
Necessarily.
Yeah, exactly. And but it looks like fun.
Yeah. No, it's like,
I played like
He's
three.
like face change
he's like
when
a
he
part-
says that.
part
He's
of the-
like,
part of the league.
I played 3 times and I didn't have any fun, but my wife did, and so it's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the appeals. We have guys that play in our Thursday night group, good players, and they can go out and play pickleball with their wives who are not very good tennis players, but
Right.
they can go out and play as a mixed doubles team and have a lot of fun and be
Yeah.
competitive with the other team.
Yes.
So that's a plus.
Yeah,
for
that's
that.
what I've done a couple of
Yeah.
times, and it's been a good night. It's been
Right.
been fun, but
yeah.
Yeah.
I have never played a game where I've like
Slattery's
tried to
playing
see
pro
how good
tournaments
I
now.
am or not. Like
Yeah.
Slattery is
He's
all
playing-
over, right?
Yeah, all over. Yeah, he's playing pro tournaments.
Yeah.
It does. Yeah.
Ryan Fu, Ryan Fu?
Yeah. Oh, he's yeah.
Oh, is
he
that right?
turned pro, and he
kidding.
got signed and everything. And
Somebody told me he's 11 in the country or something like that, or 11 in the world. I don't know, something like that.
he's
Wow, good for him.
Yeah, and and there's another kid from New England, James Ignatovich, that is his age group, and he played somewhere, and he's like a rock star in the pickleball world. Like they talk about James Ignatovich, like I'm like, okay, but
How old is he?
Ryan is from '99, so he's like 25, and then Ignatovich is 1925 or 24. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's funny to put in all that training for tennis and then just abandon it. But I guess it's you
Still
do it at a
paying off.
point. Yeah.
They
Just
say
a different
most
way.
of, not most, probably all of the top pickleball players
Yes.
out there are all former college tennis players.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's like we were saying, picking up the game early, this, that. How about not being a racket sport person? You're like, I think I'm getting this pickleball thing. And then all of a sudden you get out there against someone who's a trained tennis player, and very quickly you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
They're hitting, this is a little different what they're doing on the other side.
So
I mean,
different
it's
how they
got to
react,
be,
yeah.
slowly all tennis players will just.
But it's
Be
cool.
the-
Like these guys, they go
Yep.
play a weekend tournament. They make a couple $1,000.
Yeah.
Then they go home. They
You think that's what they make?
when they in the South they have a lot of
They do have
yeah
some money tournaments and
Yeah.
stuff,
Mm.
right?
yeah. There's good money. That's not good money, but
Yeah.
that's a good side money for a
Yeah.
guy like that.
Yeah.
And if they want to teach pickleball, those guys that are pros are very,
Yeah.
people love that lesson, right?
Of course,
because these
yeah.
guys 10 in the world, like
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that probably tennis was like that back in the
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right in the 60s and everything, where the top pros. Like
Yeah. There wasn't enough. They had to teach to make some money.
They had to
Yeah,
teach.
the
So
prize
you were
money
literally
wasn't enough.
taking a lesson with
How
a guy that
far?
was going to Wimbledon.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
which is
Can you imagine going to Wimbledon and then you're putting up with some
Yeah.
lesson? You interrupt your
upper
training.
team.
You're like, I gotta help this guy with his change him from his
Yeah.
full Western grip.
No worse is continental
Yeah,
forehand.
that's what
yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of those guys, like you used to hear of the Rod Laver, they would do a ton of clinics and everything because
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
needed to make more money. But they
right.
were also, they became better teachers because they
Yeah.
had to do. You know?
I just saw this. I want us to see if we can frame that. There's did you see that poster?
Oh, that Ed had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. John Lloyd and Roy Emerson.
Roy Emerson. They came
Wow.
here
Yeah.
like 30 years ago.
90,
Yeah,
I think it was
90
99,
something.
97 or 99, something like
that's
that.
cool.
They came.
That is
But they
cool.
had to
I was
do-
gonna
they
say
did-
not
it
that long
wasn't-
ago, but that's
So-
30 years
But
ago.
it was a
yeah.
3-day event where they played against Ed LeDuc or Ed played with John Lloyd and another pro played with Roy on like Friday night in the cocktail party and whatever. Then the next day the pros were still here doing clinic, and then the day after
Yeah.
that you would pay a certain amount of money to a charity to play with those guys. So they were here for 3 days, but that's how they made some money.
Yes.
Right.
You know, Roy Emerson was making money that way.
Yes.
So yeah, it's different now. I don't see Djokovic doing that. I don't think he has to.
No,
Yeah.
they're getting.
Rafa's probably
making
not
money.
doing 3-day. You know.
No.
Camps.
No.
No. What they
Yeah.
do now, if they do anything like that, is for their foundations and for
Exactly.
Yeah.
profits
Yeah.
and stuff
Yeah.
like that, but not for, you can't afford them.
Right. Yeah.
I
Saudi
think-
Arabia can.
Yeah.
Saudi makes some big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big dough.
Yeah. Did you see? Speaking of Saudi Arabia, the guy that I'm not sure if it's news or just the Saudi Arabian prince something offered Tyson, I don't know, 70 or 700 million if he fights for real against that Jake Paul.
Oh,
guy.
is that right?
Yeah, because
Saudis are funny, man.
Yeah.
They do some funny stuff.
Jake Paul's not going to fight him for no money.
Yeah, he's like, "Hey, can beat me? Give me 200 million."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big entertainment. It was a show, but I'm not
Right.
sure if the boxing was that. Did you watch any?
I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you watch it?
I didn't, but anyone that I've like read any articles, listened to any other podcasts, anyone that seems to know a little about
Yeah,
boxing is all like they're like Tyson was not, it's like us being out there, kind of controlling a ball, you're hitting something. They were like, it was punches where he could do more damage than he was. He was out there not trying to kill that dude.
I did see a couple of short clips on. They showed how he was like pulling some punches, like he had the the jawbone lined up, and he just kind of pulled the punch in a
Right.
little bit.
Yeah.
Just didn't
Yeah,
let
yeah.
it fly.
Yeah.
So
well, look, they made a bunch of money on it.
Yeah.
So.
Sure did.
And we
That's
talk about it.
dude. That's a hard way to make that money, man. I'd want to make them, but even you want Tyson at half speed?
No,
Honestly, give me a break.
no, thank you.
No. Other ways to do it.
He was at the MAC a couple of years ago because his daughter plays.
That
tennis.
plays.
oh, is that
Was
right?
he?
Oh, I didn't
So he
know that.
brought her, and I was supposed to run the tournament that Friday, and I left somebody to run it that Friday. I said I'll come in tomorrow. I had no idea that he was coming, and he's at the cafe over there, being nice and taking pictures with the kids and everything. They're sending me the pictures, and I'm like, holy crap! And I show up the next day. The girl lost, and he pulled her out of the back door. They didn't show up. I was like,
That would be fun.
that would have been cool.
Yeah.
That would have been fun.
Yeah.
He got in crazy shape, man. I don't care, even if it was no.
Yeah, how
Just
old is
say-
he?
59.
Yeah, 58 or 59.
Yeah.
If you
He's an animal.
Oh yeah.
Got like.
Yeah.
But yeah, I forgot his daughter's playing tennis.
Yeah.
Is she a
Yeah.
pretty good tennis player?
She's decent. Yeah, she
Yeah.
plays national tournaments and stuff.
Yeah.
Nothing.
I do
doesn't
not.
win
it,
but
I do
yeah.
not want to be the other parent when I play Tyson's daughter. If you see the dad mad on the side, like,
Yeah.
He used to wear those black shorts and the black boots. He
Right?
just the whole
Oh,
thing. He
yeah.
just looked
Yeah.
like he had this vibe about him in there, man. Where you're just like, God,
Yeah.
this guy could kill somebody.
Those were good times,
yeah,
Yeah.
right? Prepping up for, and then he would beat them up in the first round. You're like,
So quick,
Yeah.
so quick.
What?
And you know what he was saying, that's why he got, well, not that's why, but that was one of the reasons he got in so much trouble. Like most of his troubles came after quick fights that he still had.
Yeah. He
The
didn't
rage.
All of
he
that
didn't get
pent
to
up,
burn
yeah.
it off. He didn't. burn it
So
off.
that's what he was saying. That's
Yeah.
I mean, he might be onto something there.
Yeah.
He said something interesting that I always refer to when I coach. He's talking about how when you come back, it's not the technique that goes away. And so similar to tennis, which is why I'm saying this is. It said the technique is fine. Is the amount of time it takes you to make that decision, to execute that technique,
Right.
and then the amount of time it takes you to react to somebody that's
Yeah.
pushing. Same thing in tennis. You don't play for a while. You don't lose your strokes. You lose your timing. You lose your
Of course.
Yeah.
your recognition
Right.
speed.
Yeah.
You lose all the reaction speed of these decisions to get your brain back into it.
Right.
That's another big part of
Yeah.
when you play.
And then the game is getting faster, so anyway,
That's
it works.
Exactly. Yeah.
We talk about how the tour moves at such a speed.
Yeah.
You take 6 months off, man. You better work hard to catch
Yeah.
on because
Yeah.
you might not.
Mm.
Like Berrettini's is he's starting to, but he's been a year now since he's been out, and he was top 10.
Yeah.
It'd be tough to get back there.
He looked good in the Davis Cup.
He
though.
did.
Yeah.
He got every.
Yeah. He got it all. But like Halep, that is trying to make those comebacks, and
Yes, 2 years, man. They've signed up for 2 years.
obviously she works her butt off.
Yeah.
and still not.
Yes, because she injured her knee. Yeah, no, it's tough. Like Osaka, I mean,
But it's
she's
everything, right? It's like with Osaka, it's like getting the mental side
Yes.
back into the game and
Mm-hmm.
every
Yes.
day and not. And it's
also-
not only the ball, the speed
shot,
of the
yeah.
ball, it's everything, right? Yeah.
I thought with her, like, she had a good match against Ostapenko, I think, first round of US Open. She won that one, and then everybody's talking about her favorite, and then she hit the Mukova train.
Yeah.
Do you like her?
Mukova,
Yeah.
she's so fun to watch.
She
Yeah.
is just
Very
such
creative. Yeah.
technical.
It's like
and-
watching Federer.
Yes.
In
Yeah.
the day,
Yep.
you know,
Yes.
like she almost gets bored. Like, oh, let me
Yeah.
try slicing
Yeah.
my
She do
forehand and
whatever-
come to the net, and you
Yeah.
know, like,
When is the last time you see like serving volley to that quality?
no,
In-
no, well, I don't know.
Right?
With since Martina,
Martina.
I guess, right?
I was
Yeah.
gonna say Martina.
It's
Yeah.
gotta
Yeah.
be.
Yeah,
Or
she's so
maybe
much
Steph-
fun to watch.
yeah, I'm hoping she has good gear because
Yeah.
that's.
She looks like she's healthy, so
Yeah, because the wrist wipe was the last
Yeah.
one that she.
that's interesting. That's
Osaka's with Muratoglu now, right? So they're gonna try to. She lost her aura just too cause she was going there for a little while. That was tough to beat her on hard court, and
Yep.
but that's tough to get back when people think you can't be beat.
And you know, she had that match against Swiatek at the
Oh,
French Open. She had
yeah.
match points. She was up.
Oh
It's like
boy,
one
in the
of
third
those, like,
set,
hey,
yeah,
that she win that match there, and that,
Right.
that
That's
she
a
have
good
a
point.
different year
It was
after
hard to
that.
watch.
And
Yeah, that was
she was
hard-
up
hard
big
to
in the
watch
third
that.
there. Was she up 5-2 or something like
something
that?
bad. Yeah, yeah.
I think you're right. 5-2.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's
Yeah.
that can change the perspective on.
Yes.
Mm.
And she just nails the ball. Though.
Osaka. Yes.
Yeah.
Technique is a little different too. I feel like she was just hitting it a little behind,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
then, man, she can get after it.
When you slow it down, you can see
Yes.
that there's like flaws, and
Yeah, she
but
opens
she
up
swing-
soon,
she
but just,
swings so fast that
yes, that serve too, man. That's tough
Yeah.
too. Cause she's 5'11", almost 6 feet, right?
she's big and strong. Yeah.
Do you see? There's a lot of we're talking about the guys that get taller, but the same thing on the girl side. Two on the
for,
height
for the most part.
for the most part, right?
Yeah.
You need to.
For the
Yeah.
most part.
Dimensions have changed.
Pauliniger is small,
Yeah,
strong, but
Yeah.
but small.
dude, she jumps like
Yeah.
sometimes a
Yeah.
foot to hit her forehand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's got those legs and boom, hits it.
Coco is a beast.
She's powerful.
And she's big and strong.
Yeah.
I mean,
What is she? Is she like 5'10",
yeah, she's
somewhere there?
she's big and strong.
Swiatek is bigger than you think it is. She's pretty,
Dude,
right?
she's a force.
Yeah.
And her quadriceps are
Yeah.
strong, man. And she's just slow and ripping. I mean, I saw her up close this year for the first time, like that close. I was like, whoa.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
This is
You see her sometimes
is-
next to other people that you think
same
they're.
with Sabalenka. Imagine that.
Yes, she
Mm.
is.
Yeah.
Now that's
Something.
power right there.
Yeah.
Sometimes when she gets into that, that forehand, that ground strokes, and she just leans into it and he yells. Like, I don't want to be on the other side of this. I do not. You have it.
That's why I like to see, our members when they have a chance to go and, maybe go to the Open or, take a tennis trip and go and see these players play up close. TV doesn't justify, like, how fast that ball is moving, how hard they're hitting, how fast they're moving. When you see that live.
How athletic they are.
Yeah. When you see that live and up close, you're stunned. It's like it just doesn't translate on television.
Yeah,
like
probably
that.
worse than any other sport.
Yeah.
Really.
I always thought
Think
that.
about like what, besides what people are doing with the ball.
Yeah,
Wait,
I like that
sometime
low,
bending
that low
this and
camera angle.
That is a little
when you
better.
see the arc of the ball, the
shape,
flight
yeah.
of the ball, the shape on it.
Yeah, I think
they should show that more. That's just
if you were
awesome.
a casual tennis fan, you have no idea that even really happens. You
Right.
don't understand that like people are hitting a ball on an arc, and some coming arc can actually change the flight of it the way they're striking it.
We
Just
all
looks
know
like
the guys that don't play
someone's-
tennis and talk to
But
you
with
like
other sports,
like
you
they
can
do.
see what's happening. Like
Yeah.
that, tennis is really you kind of have to know it a little bit to appreciate it on TV,
Yeah.
or be
Go live and see.
up close, and people like, holy shit!
Yeah, you
this
hear
is
the
what-
stories all
This
the
is
time,
what
yeah.
people
Yeah.
are doing with a tennis ball.
Right.
Like, when did this start?
Why do they slide on hard
On
court?
hard
Right.
court. Ugh.
Right. Or maybe even just the speed.
Yes.
Just seeing someone, not even service, catch a forehand and let one fly, and people think are
Yep.
the noise that comes off it. I'd be like, whoa,
Yeah.
jarred a little bit.
Dude, I play tennis, and I still remember it was you and I. We went to the U.S. Open, and our first match, we walked to this back court, and we see, if you guys remember, Pablo Cuevas. Nice one-y. He retired maybe last year. And we literally go close to the fence because you can still do that at the U.S. Open. And this guy takes, remember the Australian guy, Guccione?
Yeah.
Lefty
Monster,
too.
yeah.
Monster serve, lefty. That guy served on the outside. That's where the fence were on. And this high kicker wide. And Cuevas comes in and actually was not right on top of our heads, but close to it. He hit a high backhand about 2 feet above our heads. That gets you impressed.
Yeah.
Right.
Even if you
Yeah.
play the sport.
Right.
Just
Right.
took it, boom, cross court.
That's amazing.
Crazy.
I still remember the shot.
Yeah.
I know exactly
You
what
do?
you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Murph said I just got my hair parted.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, we were so close to that action. It's
So
just
if you're
unbelievable.
in the sport and you see that, like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the guys these days, the training is,
Yes. Yes.
but it's cool too. Like, they,
The cross training, yeah, and everything else they do for their bodies, right? They this. They do all the hyperbaric chambers and saunas and cold and all those
Yes.
things that and ultrasound and the recovery, and they know their blood count and blood cells after
Right.
each match and what they need to do. It's
what they better know now with the way those drug tests are going on.
yeah.
That's just a problem. It's like the technology is so much higher now. They can detect like the smallest
Right.
particle of whatever.
Right.
But if
And-
that's not a harmful amount, then what's the issue? Or is it any amount is harmful? Any amount is enhancing?
No, but that's what hasn't been defined. It's still
Right.
like the
So what-
substance is prohibited. So it's like, why do you have it?
That's okay. I get it.
Eventually,
But is there a certain amount of that substance? Should they go now into that,
they probably will end up there.
doing that, right?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, alcohol, you can have whatever you can have in your system. As long as below a certain level, it's fine,
Yes.
right? With obviously, if you get caught. But will they do the same thing with this now? Because if they can catch a millionth or a billionth what they can catch now, they couldn't catch 10 years ago.
Right.
Yes.
Now we're like, okay, well, what are we going to do? Do we raise the bar a little bit?
They have to do something like that because everybody's getting pissed off that
Yeah.
these guys aren't getting
The even,
punishment that the guy 5 years ago got. And it's like,
well, Halep got 2 years off almost, and she's pissed about that, right?
Right.
She's 2 years off, and then
Yeah.
Sinner and Swiatek, 1 month, right? Swiatek got 1 month. The month of December.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
It's perfect. It's perfect timing.
perfect timing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do you? How much of cross training do you? Speaking of the professionals, do you do with your high performance players?
Not enough.
Not enough, just because of the court time.
Because right now, with our structure, the kids need to be on the court as much as possible.
Yep.
Yeah.
we're trying to do a lot of education for
Yes,
them, so
for
that
them to do it.
they learn there's a lot of like hip mobility stuff going on right now on loosening up the hips and all that
Yeah.
stuff, so that they learn to do it before the time on little routines and
Oh, that's good.
yeah, and the kids that we see a lot,
Yeah.
they're doing it. We see them, get to the courts a little bit before, and you see them doing
That's
the
good.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But we're very time.
Of course, yeah.
We have blocks of time. And these are kids that probably drove 45 minutes to get there.
Yeah.
And they have to go home and do 2 hours of homework. So
Right.
it's like you're fighting,
Yeah.
but not enough. But definitely,
But definitely the awareness is there.
yes.
And then that's something that you hope they do on their own.
Yes.
And
It's hard to get like the right trainer.
Yep.
It's hard to get a trainer that you can justify for them to have like a full-time job
yeah,
with a tennis program,
yes,
so that you can sort of pay him enough and he can get enough hours and stuff. But if you hit it, that's the most important piece of your program. Is that guy, because that automatically keeps the kids healthier. They get
Right.
hurt less.
yeah.
They're on the court more. They get better at a faster rate.
Same thing.
Yeah,
Reaction
so-
time.
yeah.
Can change the points
Yeah.
complexity. Yeah.
And they just get better faster if they're doing that stuff.
Yes. That I think that's the most important thing that has to be driven home with them, because
Yeah.
look, it's gonna help you get better at this sport. React better to this return.
Yes.
Like be stronger on this forehand or backhand. Be more
When
explosive.
when I moved here 20 years ago, that was one of the biggest fights. It was like the program was going to be 2.5 hours.
Yep.
But at least a half an hour we were going to do fitness, and people didn't want that.
Yeah.
They just wanted the court time.
They wanted to be on the court and
Yep.
with the tennis balls.
Well,
Yeah.
it's easy to
And,
think that, you're like, oh, that's one of the things doesn't
Yeah.
need to be done now. We should prioritize this, but
Yeah.
does it end up getting done?
That's
if it's
when the
not like you
professionals
need
are
that.
like-
Yeah, you need someone kind of guiding
It's
you, or even pushing you to do it, because it's real easy to run through the motions and that stuff and not really get anything out of it. you need.
Back then they didn't want it.
Yeah.
They're like, I got a lot of homework. Is it okay if I skip fitness at the end, or is it okay
Yeah,
if
yeah.
I
Because
show
the
up?
awareness was not there, or like
Yeah.
Right.
That's different now, though.
it is.
No,
Oh, it definitely
I mean,
is.
don't you
Yeah,
think?
Yeah, it's changed
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah, it has.
There's-
Well, and like
That's
you
or
said,
even on
the-
social media. You
right.
see, yeah.
You
I mean,
see those players doing it.
what
so-
they're doing, right?
Yeah.
Literally what they're doing. It's not like they're showing
True.
you; it's there, and you're
so
seeing.
you weren't seeing much of
No,
McEnroe's off-court training
no.
30 years ago. I mean, it was
No.
not, because he was playing tournaments, right?
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like even
Right.
like Sampras off-court training, you didn't know what they
Right.
were doing.
Right.
But you do know what those number 1
Yeah.
to 10 or 20 guys, you know what they do.
Probably Lendl was the one that
Yes.
changed
Changed
the game
it,
from
but-
that side.
Yeah, he
but,
did.
But I know like Connors used to but they just did stuff, right? Like they just went and ran 5 miles, for example, after practice, or they
Well, it wasn't the science that we have today.
Exactly.
They just
Exactly.
gonna, break a sweat, get their heart rate
Yeah.
up. They figured that was off-court training.
yeah.
Dude,
It's much more specific now.
And the
Yeah.
stuff they do now is not even. It's just to keep you
yes.
really healthy and
Right.
stuff. You're not They just don't have the time with all the tournaments that they have throughout the year
Yeah.
to really think about
They
getting
just do
stronger.
maintenance,
They-
right? So
Yeah.
they're just off season
A
and they have
ton of
training
elastic
block.
bands, a ton of
Yep.
Mhm.
good work.
They work a lot on the reflexes now. I see, like
Yeah.
quick reactions, because
Yeah.
you need it, obviously.
Yeah.
Like the range of like where this is going now, man. Right?
Brutal, right?
It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Same thing with the mental part, right? Same thing. You guys try to help them quite a bit, and
Well, now all those pros, everybody has a sports psychologist on their
Yeah.
corner somehow. Whether it's traveling,
Of
with,
course, yeah.
traveling with them or at home or something. But they
you need it.
yeah.
Do you guys push it?
to,
not
to
push
a
it, but
point,
like to help
a
out,
point,
to
yeah,
help
yeah,
out.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
have a person that works
do.
with them periodically. Not enough.
Do you see a pattern there, or everybody's different with what they're?
They just like the mental part is something that you're working on all the time.
Yeah.
So not only when you're working with the sports psychologist, but all
Yeah.
the time. There are things that, journaling, like the kids
Mhm.
that write their notes, like, that kid that you teach, and,
Yeah.
he has a little notebook, and sometimes he has a really good lesson, and you see them write 2 things down, and okay, that's going to stick, things like that. But the mental part as a coach, you're addressing it
Yes.
every minute. I think
Yeah.
that sometimes it's cool when you have an interaction with a sports psychologist, because they know a little bit more, on that side, but it doesn't mean that you haven't worked on that stuff all the time.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, that stuff is hard as an adult, never mind
Yeah.
as a teenager or like someone who's still kind of growing in this and that.
Yeah.
It's a hard part of the game to manage.
Yes.
For sure.
Right.
But we do, for example, like with those camps with the USTA, they all get a journal thing, and these journals all have like pre-practice plans,
Yeah.
post-practice, sheet, and pre-match and post-match, and so it's short and it's simple, but the kids come to practice. You talk to them for 2 minutes about what practice is going to be about, and they write a couple of their goals and stuff. And a lot of those planners will start with like, how are you feeling today? And the kid will, you start seeing patterns. You start
Check it
seeing the
in.
kid that says, I'm exhausted. 3 days later, he's still exhausted. I'm like, you ask the mom, like, is this kid getting sleep or what? It's like, oh, well, he's actually really stressed out because of school. I'm like, okay, then
Yeah.
no wonder you like,
Yeah.
yeah. But, and what are your goals for today's practice? Give me 2 goals. I'm working on my forehand and I'm working on my slice serve. Boom. It's just creating that little bit of accountability on that.
Yeah. Play with a purpose.
It helps.
Yeah, it's a good
Yeah.
one because you can have good intentions, but maybe just be going through the motions out there, just like
Yeah.
thinking being out there,
Yeah.
sometimes can happen. You see, like just being out here isn't going to necessarily
Yeah.
get you better. There's got to be a little purpose behind what you're doing, but you're maybe not even choosing to not have that purpose. You just haven't clearly defined it, like
Yes.
right before you've
Yeah.
gone on the court, or if the practice can be over and you're like, wait, I think I worked hard. But if you
But
really
don't-
clearly
but
define,
we
what
don't do
you're-
enough of that, right? So like I do it at those camps, and you can tell. The goal of the camp is your slice backhand and the first serve out wide and the first ball to the open court, and you say it to them, and in the morning when they're writing down, you're like, what are the goals of the camp? They tell you to, okay, so they it's reinforced.
So they're
At the end of the day, when they go to the post practice, they write about that. Like I didn't hit any slice backhands. Okay,
Yeah.
Right.
That's good. Like at least you're aware. Like that's what we were working on, and you didn't. But even as a coach, right? Like we've all seen the Avis Murray taking notes of everybody. But how often, like it's happened to me a few times where I know that this kid played against that kid like 3 months ago, and I know I told him what to do, and it worked out well. But I don't remember what the hell I said, And this time I forgot to tell him, and then he's on the court. I'm like, man, I forgot to tell him to do that. And like I had written it down,
yeah. It's
Yeah.
tough to document everything, but yeah, that is true.
But 1 or 2 things, simplifying that and stuff.
Yeah. You go simple, right? You
As
try to
much
stay
as possible.
As much
Yeah.
as simple. Yeah.
No more than 3 things.
Yeah.
2 better. No more than 3. Yeah. They get lost. More than 3, they get lost.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the rules now during the tournaments? Can you talk to them? You can't, right?
Not yet.
Yeah. I did.
In the junior tournaments,
Yeah.
the ITF international ones, yeah. But or they're gonna be able to talk freely next year.
Yeah.
Not so far, no.
Is
Scary, right?
Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting because that's where you need it.
Yeah, but it depends who's going to talk to it.
Right. That's what I was thinking. Is a parent talking to them?
So there's going to be some rules.
Well, it's
now
got to
on-
be a defined
yeah
coach,
who's
right?
your
I mean,
coach?
but I guess that could, I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
like, I'm the coach.
Most of the time, the coach is the parent. That's it.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
On
Yeah.
the on the weekend.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I don't. I think a parent was telling me this like 5-10 years ago, and it's like, why? I coach my kids in football and this and that, and I know exactly how he's feeling, and I was like, his name was Ed. I was like, Ed, honestly, like just watching you get so nervous during his matches, you're probably like the last person that I would say you should be talking to your kid at that point. No offense, no offense, but
They
it's
pick
like
up your energy.
from the outside, I'm like, dude, you probably shouldn't be talking to him.
Should be like a coach, like an accredited coach. That's
Yeah. So when you go to
certified.
the ITFs, so as a player, you tell the tournament who your coach is, so that if somebody's talking, it's gotta be that person.
yes, that's what I'm saying. It's got to because it'll be good, but this
But you're like
Not-
you're committed to that person.
Yeah.
It's not like anybody just comes and sits and But
they could get interesting.
no,
He could get-
for the most part in New England, we have the good parents, man. Like, it gets in.
It's a different.
Intense in-
Actually, I
in
don't want to say
other-
because
in
you
other
hear different
sections.
sports.
Ooh.
Really?
Oh yeah. Because what we talk, like academics are very important for the
Yeah.
community. We want the kid to be a good kid. We want a good kid to go to a great school. Sometimes the Florida route is like it's all or nothing. Like we're
Oh,
here.
really?
We're here so that the kid's a pro. And it's like.
Yeah.
So there's a lot
That's
of
not
stress
easy.
on the family. They probably sold their house because Mike told them. to
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
it,
Right.
right? And he's like, hey,
Go
dude,
out there and get a break of serve.
Yeah.
Honey. Jesus.
Yeah. And we packed up the whole family
Yeah.
and moved down here.
Yeah.
You better win this
You
match.
better
Yeah.
win this 12 and under.
Didn't have room for the dog. That's still back in Massachusetts, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yikes.
Seriously. Oh.
Where do you see our the teaching industry? Like our side of the story here.
I had a good summer. I had a number of kids that have been students of mine come and work with me this summer, and they were coaching because we work with tournament players. So I can't just put like a babysitter out there.
Correct.
I gotta get somebody that is gonna talk to them
course.
firmly and discipline them and this and that. And I had, a number of them ask me for jobs and come and coach and everything, and they did a good job. And I have a guy now working with us that was a student of us since he was 16, and he went the college route, and he did an MBA and this and that, and he's trying, coaching tennis, and so it's awesome, but that's hard,
That is hard, right?
right? That's hard, it's hard.
Yeah.
But I think that some of the guys, when they start coaching and they start, at an environment, they start liking it. They're like, oh, this is,
Yes.
and hopefully they're asking for that job and everything because they've been around you for a long time, and they're like, well, this guy,
Yeah.
he lives, he's got a cool way of making a living kind of thing, and they embrace it.
I'm
But
hoping we're going to see more of that.
The industry stuff, because
Yes.
these young kids get out of college, and a lot of them make very good money very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But even if they want to, they might have so much debt.
I know.
They're like, I got to take this corporate job because that pays a lot
Correct.
more.
Correct.
So now I got to go into that. So now you kind of cut, even
Yes.
if like, but we do see occasionally cases of people coming back.
Correct.
That's nice. That's good to see
Yes.
because they appreciate
Right.
just
Yes.
being physical and working with people and whatever it is that attracts you to it. But
Yeah.
better than sitting on a desk. So
Well, I know I can't. So
yeah,
Mm.
yeah, I
yeah,
know.
But it was cool. It was cool. The summer was good because of that. It was a
Good.
and I have, Sebastian Naginski, that is a boy from the Boston area, and a couple of Colombian kids that were student of us in the past, and we had 2 boys from the Tufts team that helped us out in the program, and we worked their butts off. We worked so hard all summer, but I think they loved it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, that's cool, you know. And now, like, I find out that they're like teaching a ton of private lessons in their downtime, and you know, learning like,
Staying in the
I
business.
can make some money and stuff.
You helped a lot of guys coming and taking this route, like Danny and a lot of those guys. That was nice
Yeah,
of
it was
you over
cool.
the years.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you need that, man. You need refreshers.
Yes.
The younger guys.
Yes.
And we were talking because for a while though, I gotta say it's better than the last couple of years. It was tough to get that 25-year-old that wants to do a physical job full time. I'm not even talking summer. I'm talking full time.
That's
To
like
commit to the career.
what you've always said to me, right? Like, we work when people don't work.
Yes.
So it's hard. It's even harder to get the 25-year-old guy that you have to tell him, like, hey, listen, but on Sunday you're teaching 7 hours.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Monday's your Sunday now, but
Yeah.
actually no, because we got practice.
Right. Right.
That was
Yeah.
Wednesday afternoon.
and I need you to run a tournament, and
Yeah.
you know,
Right. Yeah.
it's definitely not a 9 to 5. So,
No,
Right.
for sure.
It's not banker's hours, that's for sure. Yeah.
but it's just a lot of fun. Right?
It is.
Like, it's
It is, and it's a healthy. It's probably the healthiest tennis community. That's another point I want to talk to you about. The healthiest tennis community in the world. Like, I'm talking
the one.
amateur players. Like our community of tennis, people wanting to play tennis.
Yeah.
There's a lot, man. There's a lot of people that play recreational tennis in the United States per capita. I think that more than other places. When you
Well,
go,
it's grown. It's definitely growing. That's one of our biggest challenges right now. I feel like in Boston we have lost, since the pandemic, we've lost probably 25, 30 indoor courts.
yeah,
Right.
but the numbers went up.
But the numbers are up.
Yeah,
It just takes to walk in here and see all those courts being super busy to say, like, what do you do when the next kid knocks on the door and wants to play and you can't take him in?
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
I know.
there should always be an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting here. It's very tough here, for sure, in New England, with the price of real estate being so high.
I know.
The value of
it's
a club.
terrible, terrible combination.
It's a
right?
tough combo.
Yeah.
It's a tough combo, and we all know it. It's tricky, but I do think it's a healthy community, and so many people. What are you gonna do when you're 35, 40? You're gonna try to pick up. You're gonna go to the gym. We talked about this before.
Right.
Picking up tennis is accessible. You can play some sort of league and learn, and something can get better. It's
Get
a lot
better
of that.
at something.
Well, I'm a member of the Manchester Baton Tennis. You
Yep.
know, and a few years ago, these guys are all my age, you know, in the late 40s and everything. They created this B team. None of them had played tennis, and they created this B team, and they got a lot of like pushback from the members. They're like, oh, I don't know, these guys are rowdy and loud, and then they get drunk after and this and that. And I was like, this is like the best thing that has happened here.
Right. Right.
Because it's all like, there's like 20 guys, all new blood.
Yes.
You know?
Right.
Right.
Now, of the 20, most of the wives now play too. Like,
Right.
Of course.
Right.
you know,
Yeah, and they
I
got
was
kids.
I was
The
here
kids are-
watching them play sectionals this year, and the adult, like, I don't know, was it 3.0 or something?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And they're
Well,
playing.
They'll eventually want to take some lessons maybe at some
Yeah.
point.
But
so
now
there's
a lot of
there
their
could be
kids,
right.
if the kid
Yeah.
wants to play, they, you
Right.
know,
Yeah,
it's
right.
like, and there's, but they can't go and join a football league. You know, they
Right.
can't play lacrosse right
No.
now. You know,
Yeah. I'm not gonna pick up hockey now and just.
No.
right?
No.
Yeah.
So
no, yeah.
tennis is one of the
Tennis is one. Yeah. Golf
Yeah.
is the other one, obviously, but
And literally till you're 90. We have
Correct, right?
people out here that are in their 90s and they're playing.
which is
Yeah.
awesome to see.
that was Henry one time. He grabbed me at the Beverly Golf and Tennis, and he was like, Francisco, guess what? I'm like, what? Henry, what? He's like, next year I can play in the 90s.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
It's like, there's not a lot of guys there.
Yeah.
I have a good chance. And
How
like,
many of you left?
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
There's less and less.
I remember that time. And then he said to me, he told me the same thing. And he said, but I got to win it this year because I got all those 89-year-old guys coming up next year.
Right.
And they're those whippersnappers, those young guys
Those young guys, huh?
coming up. So,
Kevin.
Call back from Rich again.
Rich who?
My dad
Yeah.
likes to give me a ring about
All
7,
right,
8
before
times. a
before
day.
this is a
how's-
wrap, I don't know if we're close
How's
to a
Kevin
wrap.
Murphy?
He's great, man.
Yeah?
We saw him.
Yeah.
We saw him last week. He's Kevin Murphy, man.
Yeah.
That guy loves life. That's for
He's
sure.
He's still, yeah.
Oh yeah. We went
Nice.
out. We had some drinks and with our wives, and
Haven't
after
seen
2
him-
hours, I
haven't
know
seen him since before he had kids.
he might come. He might come
Yeah.
Saturday.
Yeah.
If you come Saturday, if we get you to play, that'll be good. Yeah. No, he's awesome. Just just Murph. You know
Yeah.
him. What do you want to say, Mike?
Oh, I wanted at some point, I want to tell my favorite Francisco story.
What
Let's
was
do it.
Fuck.
It's not that I have a lot of them, but
Yeah.
a few years ago, Beverly Golf was the home for the junior clay courts.
Yes.
And so Mac had a big presence there, a lot of the coaches. Francisco was around, tons of the players in there. And I remember this one day very specifically. I was walking along the courts, and Francisco was down around the fifth court there, that little cove. They used to call it Ricky's Cove. And you were absolutely dressing down this kid who went out there and apparently just tanked like the third, so just like went away in the match. And she quit. She gave up. And you were on her in like a really rough way, but the kindest way possible to be rough. It was an amazing thing for me to sit there and listen to you tell her and explain to her that she could have done so much better. Have you never watched a tennis tournament where a player was down and they came back and they won, and you had a chance that could have been you today? You didn't. Yeah, and it was delivered so well. And the thing is, I know I've shared this with you one other time. I think I told you the story, and you don't even remember this happening, because I'm sure you've had to have these conversations so many times with these young players. But I left. I mean, I always appreciated you. We've never had a chance to work together. I've had my butt kicked by you on a tennis court plenty of times. But I left so impressed with the way you handled that kid. You could see it was hitting home with her. She wasn't crying or she wasn't upset. She was listening. She was disappointed in herself. It was the best thing I had seen out of a coach to a student maybe ever. It was absolutely amazing. I wanted to put that out there to the world
good.
to say that.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that stayed with me for years. That was probably 12 years ago.
Yeah.
And I still have that in my head like it was
The
yesterday.
older I get, the more kind of like appreciation I get for like stuff like that. You know, like at the moment you're just kind of doing what you're doing, but
Right.
yeah.
Yeah,
Now
they kind of like.
we're getting older now, so like a lot of the kids we used to work with now
Yes.
have kids.
You can see the seeds that you
like,
planted, right?
remember,
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
you're like,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
you're like my mentor. I'm like, holy
Yeah.
Yeah.
here, have
And what
ano-
was your name again?
have another, have another beer, but right?
Yeah.
You do, but they do remember those few words that you told them, or like something that you did,
Yeah.
and you might not remember that, but they do.
Well, I remember what they told me, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's a good point. But
Right,
you said,
yeah.
but not,
Right.
that's
Yeah.
cool. I mean,
Let's close in with some predictions for next year. What do you think? Give me what your thoughts are.
my thoughts next year. I want to see what Tommy Paul does.
He had a
he's
lower-
mellow. He's
yeah.
mellow. He's quiet, but he works his butt off.
Yeah.
He has a very good fitness guy.
Super talented athletic, man. Yeah.
he's a very talented guy, but he works very hard. So I want to see what he does. I want to see what Shelton does. Because it's always like that sophomore year is tough, right? Like he had a very good year, and then he has to come back the next year and kind of prove himself.
Yep.
He's past that now, and he still was able to maintain that ranking.
There was some like exhibition on in the lobby the other day he was playing.
Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff, and that guy is an athlete. Some of the stuff he was doing was like
Him and Alcaraz.
just, yes,
Yep.
yeah, man.
Yeah.
Some serves like up in the air, carving, but like smashing balls, carving, just like crazy
Yeah.
stuff.
Crazy
I'm
stuff.
like, man, like really see when they're kind of getting showboating and showing off. Like sometimes you're like, whoa, look how high in the air that guy just was, or
Yeah.
how hard he hit that ball.
Yeah.
When you can clock
Yeah, it's like-
140 mile an hour
Yeah.
serve.
Yeah.
That's I don't know.
Yeah.
Be nice to see Opelka make a comeback.
He's good now. Is he healthy?
He's healthy.
Yeah, good.
You know, he was healthy and then he hurt himself playing golf. You know?
Is that what it was? Because I knew he got injured again. Oh
Like,
boy!
I didn't know
He
that.
Oh,
hurt
boy.
his left wrist playing golf.
Oh, buddy.
God. Yeah. But I guess that's what happens when you're 7 feet.
That guy's the Karlovic of the 2000s.
Yeah.
He can disrupt
But he's
any
good,
draw.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any draw.
Be good to see what if Navarro will enter that sophomore year. Like, okay, you had no pressure last year and you did really well. Let's see, but she looks like she's the type.
Yeah, I agree.
To handle it well. Coco, you know, if Coco double faults less than 10 times in a match, he can pretty much beat anybody.
You think that's gonna? They working hard on this. They must work hard on this one this off season, right? Because that's a big one.
Yeah.
You can fix it. It's not easy, but you can.
But the dude that they hired to work with her, Matt Daly,
Yeah, he's
a Wellesley guy.
Oh, Wesley.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
is that
yeah.
right?
I
Nice.
didn't know that.
He lives in Connecticut.
Connecticut,
Now, but
that's
he grew
what I
up
thought,
in the Boston area. And he's a good
Cool.
guy. He's a very technical guy. And they've been putting a lot of work on that, you know. And a lot of the work is, you know, he was moving her grip back because he had shifted a little bit towards an eastern forehand and moving it back to a continental.
Really?
But a lot of it was it's just.
Yeah.
Can I swear?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want, man.
Get the fucking serve in, man.
Yeah.
Like, put it in, we're fine. You know, like
Right.
just don't hit 3 double faults in a
Yeah.
row. We'll be okay. You know, it's like
Yeah.
it should be easier than that, right?
What do you think? I'm seeing a lot. Like speaking of Coco, they're attacking that forehand on the run with the
Yeah.
semi-western grip. That's something.
Oh, they're going there.
That's what I'm saying. They're attacking that part.
They're going there.
on the run. They move it to the back
Yeah.
and the attacker there. That
Yeah.
seems to be a bit of a chink in
But
the
it's a
armor.
little bit. It's kind of like a funky shot, but she's just so athletic.
Yeah.
She can handle it. I mean, it's a little bit like Roger. You know, like of course they were going to hit to his backhand. Of course they were going to come into the backhand. But the more the match went on, the better that backhand got. Because he's been getting drilled at it, and he
Right,
just
right.
eventually figures it out. And
giving
he's
you
like,
a rhythm on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, because you have to go there, right? But she's good, and then we'll see what happens with all these positive drug tests with Sinner and Swiatek.
I know, right?
If they decide to do anything to them,
Did they reopen that, or just kind of they leave it as is now? They let it cool off.
I think there's an appeal from the organization for Sinners.
Oh, really?
Yeah, to reopen it and see it. Hopefully they let it go.
Yeah.
You know, Alcaraz. I mean,
It's
just
this is now the third year that he's not. So he was number one in 22, right?
yeah.
23 was back Djokovic, 24 Sinner. So
Yeah, but he won two slams.
2 slams, yeah.
Did all right,
It's not bad.
right? He did all right.
No, I'm saying this would be like this is the third year. I think he's gonna make a press towards number one now because he's like he has to, and he
Yeah.
has to. Like he went past a couple of years of just having some downs. I think he was tired this year.
Yeah.
After the French and Wimbledon, I think he just got
Well,
tired.
it was a tough year because the Olympics
Olympics
there.
right there, yeah.
So that crunch of, you know, and he did well, right? Like so he did French and then he played-
One final.
Yeah, and then Wimbledon.
Yeah.
Right.
So one French, one Wimbledon, final to the Olympics.
Yeah,
Those
exactly.
three were like
So
that's
Yeah.
that's tough.
It's a tough schedule, man.
That's a
Yeah.
tough schedule.
And he's a mature body for his age, but that's a lot of wear and tear in a
Yes.
short time.
Yes.
That's tough.
He is still
Big
enjoying
change.
And
himself,
he's
which
still
is good.
and he played. Did he play Laver Cup?
Yeah. Oh, he carried the Laver Cup.
He played Laver Cup. He
doing
played Saudi
exhibitions there.
Arabia. He's doing exhibitions here. He played Davis Cup.
Yeah.
It's like, dude,
Hey, Davis Cup.
don't complain. If you're gonna play everything, don't complain.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
true. That's true. Yeah.
What do you think about that decision in Davis Cup in U.S. versus Netherlands? Did you see that?
Oh, the doubles?
The doubles, yeah. So that was tied,
Yeah.
right? And we have
They played Tommy
Ram.
Paul and
they play Paul and Ben Shelton
Yeah.
over Ramrajev and Krajicek.
Krajicek.
which they got silver at the Olympics, right?
Yeah.
Now, you can look at it multiple ways as a coach, but was it Bob or Mike, Brian? One of them. Yeah. Good guess.
It's like my daughters. Is it Christina or Sofia? They look the same.
So he.
What do
he
I
put-
think? No.
Yeah.
In my mind, like, what are you, crazy? Like, that's just, you have a double specialist. You were a double specialist yourself. It's like when the Bryan brothers were out there, if we had played Blake and Roddick, like,
Yeah.
no,
Right.
Yeah.
we wouldn't, like,
I think it's getting further and further apart, the singles versus doubles. It's not that easy to translate anymore without training, without specializing on it. It's you can put 1 and 2 in the world in singles, and we can put Nadal and Federer on the 2000s, and 5, 6 out of 10 matches you'd be like they'll do okay. I think.
Federer, Vrinka.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, exactly. 'Cause they won the Olympics. I think the discrepancy is way bigger now. Like those doubles guys are like so specialized, man. They're like they can play and they can pick you apart if you're a singles player that has not trained enough in doubles. Because you can translate, I mean, to some extent, but
yeah.
right, and you can see all those guys that are Jesus, man.
Well, I mean, you could tell, like in the Olympics, it was a good showing of that, right? Like, so you could tell, for example, when Nadal played with Alcaraz, that Alcaraz was the not as good doubles player.
Right.
And these other teams, when they had 3 shots in a row, it would go boom, 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 right? Alcaraz every time, When Fritz and Paul were in those important matches, Fritz is not as comfortable closer to the net. They go like, you can see the other guys literally pick on him. And you're picking on Alcaraz. That's that's daring, right?
Right.
I hit it to that guy when you can. Like,
But that's right.
But that's how that's how much they know, right?
Yeah.
It's tough, man.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's a tough one. That's a tough decision. A tough decision, especially if it doesn't work in your favor. Because he probably had his train of thought. I heard that those guys were on a 4-3 match losing streak, and they're going to split up. So this might be some things behind that. But it's tough at the end of the day when you gambled and it did not pay in your favor.
Right.
And it's like, ooh.
Yeah. You were.
And you could see Rajiv Ram's face.
It was
He wasn't happy.
Yeah.
He was not happy.
Especially when
he wanted to be.
They probably knew, like, dude, those guys are not. I know those guys. I know that because the other side had Koolhof, right? That was retiring. That guy's a good doubles player, man.
Yeah.
Was Koolhof and
No.
No,
They
who's
played the Australian dudes,
oh, sorry, just it was it was
which are awesome.
oh yeah, what's his name?
Pierce.
Thompson,
Pearson.
Jordan Thompson, and
Oh.
Thompson and
Jordan.
Jordan Thompson, very good
Yeah.
player.
yeah.
And then
Is it Pierce?
no,
No, it wasn't. It was.
Millman? No.
Yeah. No. Purcell.
Purcell.
no, it wasn't Purcell. No, it was somebody else.
But they won the Olympics.
Yeah, the one that him and Purcell.
Yeah, the Australian guys won the Olympics.
But I think it was the other guy.
No, I don't know who won the Olympics, but the Australian guys. It's the same team. I don't know.
Yes.
But they're nasty. But
Yeah. Look it up.
The
Please.
Australian? Dundee? Where I'm at.
I know if you look at doubles rankings, he's I think he was number 1 at some point. But that guy was good in doubles. Yes, that guy and Jordan Thompson, they were. Yeah, that's right. I was thinking of the semis.
I don't know. I think like you like if you had told me, hey, Rajiv Ram maybe not as quick on the clay courts, this and that, but on an indoor hard courts, the guy's 6'5", man.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I can run my glasses.
Let's see. Ebden.
Abden.
Yeah, it was Thompson,
Yeah.
Ebden. Yeah. That's
Oh, that's a nice. I don't know. Who makes that call, man?
well, one of the twins.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think Fritz is gonna? He had a good season and 4 in the world. Fritz.
Yeah, Fritz.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't mention him. I feel like Fritz is a guy that knows how to win now.
Yeah.
But he's a little bit. He's not the most natural mover out
Yes.
there, but
Mhm.
he knows how to shorten points and tee up on his second serve, go big on the second serve, go big on his returns.
That became a weapon. That became a big weapon. That serve.
Yeah,
Big weapon.
yeah,
It was always was, but this like
yeah.
pretty good.
But he knows how to win now. Like our or the other American guys don't quite,
Yeah.
come through in those matches like he has, but he's good, And there was a time that there were like 6-7 guys better than him at 17 or 18.
I can see that. He
From
wasn't
the-
too physical
from the
though.
U.S.
Mm.
It was like Stefan Kozlov, Michael Mo, Opelka, Tommy Paul, Tiafo, that Noah Rubin.
Noah
guy
Rubin,
from-
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
All
Noah
these
Rubin.
guys
Oh,
were
yeah. Yep.
within 1 year apart, and Fritz was in the bottom of that pile.
Wow.
So for him to come up like that is cool. Yeah.
All right,
But
good.
another tennis family, right? Mom and dad.
Yeah,
and-
right.
Who is it? Oh, Fritz, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, guys, good. Bud, thanks for coming, man. This was fun. Let's do it again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good
Thank
stuff.
you for the drink.
That's it. Yeah, we should have.
Yeah, it's 5.5.